Welcome to Artists on Art podcast. I'm your host, Drea McDonald. Today we talk to Lenny Gallant, also known as Birdmouse. He's a visual and digital artist, singer-songwriter, and musician, and we had a great chat about what it looks like to be a full-time artist. Enjoy.
Art, I want you. Art, you make it pretty hard not to. And my heart is trying hard here to follow you, but I can't always tell if I ought to.
Hi, Lenny. Thanks
Hi.
for coming by.
I'm very happy to.
Let's get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in PEI, and you lived here for quite a while. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you were like as a kid? What was it like growing up here?
What was it like growing up here? Well, it was the late 70s, early 80s. So there was a lot of dinky playing down at the end of the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot more wild child stuff happening back then than there is, it seems, today. So, I think as a kid, I was fairly active.
Was there a lot of green space around where you were? Were you out in the woods?
No, we were right in, well, Stratford used to be called Southport.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived right behind the Glen Stewart Primary School, or Glen Stewart Elementary, sorry. Yeah. So, and I remember my mom would invite my class down for lunch because I lived so close, and we had like cheese whiz sandwiches,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody got to be in my yard. But no, I think PEI was pretty quiet, sheltered. I didn't know about the world.
Mm-hmm.
The world was not out there. It was just PEI, really. Yeah.
Were you playing music as a kid? Like, I know you played in bands when you were
Mm-hmm.
a younger man. When did that start?
That probably started around 15 or 16. My first band was Stonefly.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably grade 9 or 10 when we started. And no musicians in my immediate family, but there was something about the lifestyle of the musician, and that was the world. The outside world to me was the music that came out of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there seems to be a good kind of crew of like around your age from that area that maybe are still making music and art,
That's true. Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah. The Dennis Ellsworths and Peter Forbes of the world,
Mm-hmm.
of the island, are still very active. So yeah, we all caught the bug at the same time. Maybe it was the grunge push.
The 90s.
I think PEI was super affected by the grunge push. There wasn't
we needed it.
we did. Yeah. We had been Cyndi Laupered to death, and we just needed, nothing wrong with Cindy, but
No, I dressed
Boys
up as her
also-
for a few Halloweens in
Yeah.
the 80s. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, no, boys want to have fun too. It's just different fun. It was louder, more plaid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so you left. You went out west like a lot of young people do from
Mhm.
PEI. What made you go out west?
Well, actually, I went out east first.
Mm.
So I was born in Germany. Dad was in the forces. So I was born in Lahr, and at that point, I had dual citizenship. I was 18 years old, and I had to decide by the time I think I was 21 between the two countries. I couldn't have dual at that point. So I went to Germany, France, Switzerland, Holland, and did 4 months of exploration on an outer and inner level.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got back to PEI, it was like coming back to an empty room. It just felt like there was just nothing. And so that's why I went out west. I was like, there's just nothing here. And, PEI still hadn't, this was in what, 95 or something, or 4? Like PEI was still pretty closed off. And it just wasn't for me. And my sister was already out west. So me and Dennis and Janelle and Kimmy started our way out west, stopping in Barrie, Ontario to see Neil Young, Oasis. This was Neil Young and Crazy Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Jewel, Spiritualized. This was all at
A few unknowns.
A few unknowns, yeah. This was all at some sort of like rock fest or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. We eventually made it to Edmonton, where my sister was. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. So, and you were out there for quite a while, it sounds like, playing in bands and working.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Playing in bands. Yeah. So I went from Stonefly, which was, essentially mimicking the grunge stuff. And then I moved, when I moved out to Edmonton, I started playing bluegrass out of the blue. He was a nice kitty. Yeah, so I met a banjo player, and his attitude and dedication and love for that kind of music, which was an absolute mystery to me, made me want to figure out why the fuck he was so into it. And I caught the bug right away. And I compared it to metal, basically. It was like acoustic metal music where we're singing about death and stuff all the time and sadness and breakups, but it was acoustic, but it was just as fast or faster than, like, the speed was always unbelievable. And just all of that energy, but then in this tiny square box of like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. And it was, most of the songs sounded the same. And like, I don't like that, but because most of the songs sounded the same, it was an easy thing to jump onto. And once you jumped onto it, depending on the people you were playing with, the spirit would absolutely just take you away. Like I've never jammed better or have been happier than with bluegrass players. Yeah.
Were you writing your own songs at that point too?
Yeah. Just simple. That was the other thing, is like, if you wanted to write a song, it's mostly written for you already in that vein.
You just got to pop it into the structure.
Yeah, throw it in the structure. And then, like I said, like if you have good enough musicians around you, like I don't consider myself a good musician. I'm just a repeater. Like I can repeat chords and I can sing. But if you had like these, like all the different, like I had an insane mandolin player and the banjo player is amazing. And just like all of these super talented people on top of a really simple chord structure and giving each their turn to shine in each song. Yeah, there was just something super magic about it.
Yeah, sometimes I think that a song is only as great as the performance of the song, and when someone comes out with a really good song and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you try to play it and there's no way that you can possibly do it because the greatness was in the way that they performed it, really, and how it fit with their own story and their own voice. And
yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know why I related strongly to all the death and destruction I was singing about.
You were a young person.
I was young.
That's what we do.
It is.
With gusto.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said earlier, I did look you up online and I found a few articles, and there was one about when you were in, I can't remember if it was in Edmonton or Calgary, but you had just taken some time off to help your ex-wife heal or go through her, health issues. And you guys had found just a coffee table in a back alleyway or something in the city, and you're like, I'm going to take it home, I'm going to fix it and sell it. And you did, and you sold it for a bunch of money, and that sparked something, it seemed like, for you.
Yeah, I was taking time off of working. I was working for a solar company as a warehouse manager, and it was fine. It was a great job. But once Heather got sick, and I had that time off, there was room to kind of shuffle our reality around a little bit. So, yeah, finding that, and we had just moved into a place that had a garage, and I never had a garage before. So, we saw this shitty coffee table, and we didn't make it much better. It was just missing a leg, and we actually distressed it more, making it a little bit shittier, and that made it better.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in an alley anymore. It was on Etsy, and it sold to somebody in New York, like within a couple of hours. So as soon as that happened, I kind of looked at that situation and went, okay, there was something that had zero value, and I gave it some attention, and the value exploded.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if I can repeat and rinse that, or rinse and repeat sort of thing, right? So I've been attempting to rinse and repeat that since 2010, 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it seems like shortly after that, you two moved back here. And I don't know if there was a time between when you came back and you found your spot out in, is it considered Primrose, the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it is the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
But that's when I first heard of you, was the opening of your shop there.
Right. Yeah, that was the Quirk shop. That was the first iteration of the Birdmouse store. And yeah, we were in the middle of nowhere, so traffic was not a problem that we had. But it was, kind of a quintessential weird place out of the way, which is kind of what we were trying to push. And we did. It pushed. It was weird, and it was out of the way, which was not actually a recipe for success. It was weird, and it was out of the way. So a tough experiment, but also a ton of freedom in it. So you really, like, a great exercise in pushing it and just doing something and following through.
You once said that you wanted to make free time your career. Do you think you've succeeded in that?
I have succeeded in that. Absolutely, 100%. And that also means that there's no reward in the outside world for that. So if you like free time, like I love free time, that does not lend itself to any sort of security.
Mm-hmm.
So free time is also chaos. Tons of chaos.
Uncertain time.
Yeah, it's very uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of have been living in that uncertainty, and I'm still alive.
You also said when interviewed about the Quirk Shop that you wanted to make a place where people can shop for their weird friends.
Yes.
Do you still think that the art that you make is for weird people?
Well, well, I hope it is. I hope it's for weird people.
Mhm.
Whether you consider yourself weird or not, because it's reclaimed. My designs aren't necessarily weird, but when you take into account the history of the materials, which I use primarily like 100-year-old pump organs to make my art pieces, because there's already like over 100 years of history and manipulation and all of these things that have happened to this wood, this material. The material holds stories. And yeah, we don't normally make things with materials that already have stories in them.
Mm-hmm.
Our materials use like tube of paint was made to be a tube of paint, but a pump organ isn't necessarily, had no idea that it was going to be, turned into a couple of necklaces and a chair and a table.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the weird part, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
More so than the customers. I think everybody's weird.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also do think that a lot of your work, while perhaps being a little bit different from other, wall hangings or different works, it all, like, the final product isn't a weird thing.
Right.
It's the how it was made and that sort of thing that seems to be
the subject matter
outside of the norm.
I don't try to. The subject matter doesn't matter. The subject matter is just what happens when I'm working, and it's not necessarily always conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
We've talked a bit in the past about how, like, working with found materials and thrown away materials is really important. And also really, uh, I think, helpful in sparking imaginations for putting it together in weird ways. Do you see a future in, like, a recycling movement that involves art and artists and kind of matching people with items that were thrown away to make more art out of?
Yeah, I see that happening, but there needs to be like, if that's going to be a true movement, I think it has to be normalized. And in order to normalize that sort of a thing, we have to redefine what waste is and start treating what we describe as waste now as resource and start using it. Because like, if matter can't be created or destroyed, then we have what we have. And there's no need to refine things to a point where we're saying it's new
Mm-hmm.
and pushing it out there. Yeah, anyway, like, there's a societal change that has to happen. And I think that not necessarily the best, but the easiest way for that to happen is some sort of a, like, societal collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in order for that to be normal.
Well, yeah, there's other places in the world where, like Cuba, where trade just stopped and they had to just keep using all of the things that they had in the 60s or whenever. I can't remember when that happened. I should look that up.
Yeah.
Um, And how amazing to just keep reusing and reusing and reusing for no other reason than you had to. And then
Right.
And then it was just how it was done.
Yeah, we won't be able to have that revolution by wanting to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we can will that. I don't think we can pull out of like Amazon and all, like we can't pull out of this society that we've built without something. I hate to say the word drastic, but something
Like a trade war?
Yeah, like that. I don't know if we'd ever have a trade war, though. That sounds ridiculous.
It does. And I don't even know what it means. I'm just an artist. But, you know, when you look at the politics and you're like, well, all these people are fighting over what's going to go to each country and how much each country is going to pay to have it imported.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more talk about, you know, using what we have within our own borders. I don't know. Maybe it's starting to turn that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've heard lots of different speculation on why this is happening. And I don't disagree with the idea that it's moving us, like we're creating chaos right now to move us towards a one world economy, not necessarily a one world government, but I think this might be pushing us into a really chaotic spot where we need a world consensus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be money. Who knows though, right?
Who knows? So, I mean, you are an established visual artist and reclamist, as you call yourself,
Mm-hmm.
a digital artist,
Mm-hmm.
singer-songwriter, and musician. Are there other forms of art that you'd like to explore that maybe you haven't dabbled in yet? Cover a lot of bases there already.
Yeah, there's not. Well, like, I guess I can tell you, I don't want to become a dancer. I'm not good at it, and it feels uncomfortable. But yeah, like as far as, I mean, visual art and audio art or songwriting, there's so much deep dive to do in either of those that if I started, I don't know, like, yeah, I think
There's still a lot of aspects there you haven't explored.
yeah,
I feel the same way.
I'm full. I don't want to be a figure skater or anything, like nothing. No, I couldn't add anything. I'm too old to add anything, I think.
How do you think your life has changed since you decided to make art your focus and your full-time kind of gig?
I've been destabilized. It's actually, I think it's pulled me in a quieter direction. Especially with the visual art. I spent a lot of time playing music and drinking and being social. And yeah, the big change I think is really on a social level. I've become much more self-aware now that I'm spending more time quietly working away, kind of thing.
Do you think more self-awareness goes hand in hand with being more finely attuned to your kind of creative center in some ways? Is it easier to make art or now?
Well, and I think it actually depends on the art. I find it very difficult to write music alone. I find it easier to like collab with the band or something, like the things will fall out a lot easier. But then with visual art, if like I'm working on something like that's all there is. And it's just me and it's just the thing. I like it. It's comfortable.
What advice would you give somebody who was feeling the pull to make art, but was also feeling a greater pull to not quit their job and be financially stable, but wanting to find some of that free time to create?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy one.
It's not. It really depends on what you care about. Like, stability is built in to be how you live in the world. Like, there's certain things that will make you a stable member of society. And for me, I would say that, I don't know, the more stable I am, the more focused I am on being stable, and it just leads me out into stability.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I had to pick, and I'm picking this: instability, but freedom. So there's, and of course that's all just a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stability is definitely for most people,
Mm-hmm.
and they function well, and they're happy, and that's great. And yeah, the creative side can lead to stability, maybe, but it's not guaranteed. It's not where the road ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my goals with this podcast is to help people understand that everybody is an artist, and anybody that maybe isn't making art and feel like they should or could should just do it. But to be a person that does art full time in a world like today is a whole other ball game, and I'm really interested in people that are doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and what it means to do it, and how they're surviving because it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. The like I yeah. Like, I would recommend to everyone to try to unleash their creativity. Absolutely. And that can be done through so many different ways. But yeah, there's
A price to be paid.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying it.
Or you're living the dream.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Well, those are all the questions I have for you, Lenny.
That's all the answers I have. Those are
wonderful answers.
That's
Thanks
great.
for coming over.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I wondered what would be the worth of my words in the world. If I write them and then recite them, are they worth being heard? Just because I like them, does that mean that I should mic them and see what might unfurl? And I think of the significance of my opinions here. Is it significant to be giving them? Does anybody care? Just because I'm into this, does that mean that I should live like it? And really, do I dare? Art, I want you. Art, you make it pretty hard not to. And my heart is trying hard here to follow you, but I can't always tell if I ought to. So I pondered the point of my art in this life. If I make it, will someone take it and think that it's genuine? Would they be glad that I did, 'cause they got something good out of it? Would they leave me and be any more inspired? And I question the outcome of the outpouring of myself. If I tell everyone my stories, would this keep me healthy and well? Would it give me purpose, and to this world some sort of service? Is it worth it? How could I tell? always tell if I ought to. Art, I want you. Art, you make it pretty hard not to.